Welcome back to another episode of Brews in Business. I'm your host, Braedon Cruz.
And I'm your host, Abel Rodriguez.
Welcome. Yeah, today we've got some cool stuff, including what we're drinking today is some good old whiskey. And we have 3 different ones, and these were left over from And Whiskey, which was an event that we did here in Tulsa, Oklahoma that was benefiting Soldier's Wish. And I haven't added up all the numbers that we've helped with those events and what we've raised for Soldier's Wish just yet since April, but I think it's in the ballpark of 18 grand.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, because that's I was doing that math in my head whenever I asked you how it went. I was like, if I remember correctly, you were at 12 at the one we went to, and then you raised 35 at that one. So good job.
And you know what it costs to do each one? $9.
$9.
Yep.
Fantastic.
$9 per event. That's just the only thing it costs. So
that's awesome.
So like really all the money that we brought in went to Soldier's Wish. All the whiskey that was bought or donated was either provided by John or I, or by a distillery, Hochatown, Red Fork Distillery, whatever, or even like the Lodge on Main probably did as well. Like it was so cool. Angelini's Pizza donated pizza for like 2 or 3 events, and then American Inheritance Confectionery, which now they've just changed their name to Yonder. They provided chocolates that were custom paired to the whiskeys, and that was an experience.
Heck yeah, it was.
And the venues were free, like Stogie's and the Lodge. That was free. Man, what else? Like it was really cool. We played around, like the whole thing was a total trial and error thing, but it seemed to work. That the nonprofit now has a revenue source going into next year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because we're going to do it some more, but we're going to get the Hard Rock Casino involved on one.
Oh, yes.
And then we're going to try to get Mahogany's involved on one.
Okay.
And then we're going to try to like do it at different
Scaling it up
places,
a little
different
bit.
things. Yeah. So like, I think we found out, we're getting really dive into it. Let me tell you more about And Whiskey. Why not? Because we're winging it.
Why not?
So next year, this is kind of our idea, and John and I have time to talk about this in November. But like, we're going to do one in February, and then every 2 months. So I think people like the consistency of like something was happening, right? And that it was for Soldier's Wish.
For sure.
But the crowd, the size of it, when it got to 70, it just got too out of control. So like we had one to where like, and people were just talking too loud, and John and I were like, well, they're having a good time, so sure. But the whole point was to be able to like taste
experience,
whiskeys.
right,
Learn, smell it, and taste it, and this is how it's made, and really kind of learn about the tasting experience. That's what it's called, And Whiskey Tasting Experience, benefiting Soldier's Wish. So we found out that like 70 is too much, but it was great because that brought in 6 or 7 grand, which is great at a number standpoint. But I think it made it a little hard for people to actually enjoy it at that level. And John and I went into it. We're like, well, we want more of an intimate deal. And then it turned into, well, we have the venue that'll fit 90 people shoulder to shoulder. Let's try to fill the whole place. And we nearly did. And then it's just like, oh, now we're crowd control. So I was like, nah, okay, back.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so going to next year, we're going to do it every 2 months, because doing it every month is a lot of work too. So yeah, we're going to do that every 2 months. And then you want to mention some of the merch that we've got? We've got some new shit on the site too that I haven't ordered yet.
Yeah, we got some hoodies we've been trying to get ordered.
T-shirts.
We got honestly our favorite, well, everybody's favorite seems to be the glass. That's
Can glass.
The can glass. It's kind of nice. The water bottle's my favorite. I use that every day still. Honestly, it's just all cool stuff. There's a bunch of stuff on the website, which is pretty awesome, and we'll be adding some more. We've talked about 2 weeks ago? We talked about adding a little bit more stuff, so we're looking forward to what we come up with for the coming year.
Yeah. Not only is the merch cool shit,
it's good shit.
It's high quality. That's a Camelback brand water bottle.
Yeah.
And the kit, I don't know what brand. It's Brews and Business brand.
Yeah,
right
but it's
now.
pretty stout.
But it's good.
Yeah, it's a pretty stout can. I mean,
you can wash it, you can rinse it, you can scrub it, and it's not going to fall apart or anything like that. And I think the pint glass, I think I dropped that from waist height.
Oh yeah.
And
pint glass is definitely just.
You did that too, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
You're like,
I'm surprised
that
thing. Yeah, I'm surprised that thing didn't break. But I mean, even then, they're all just high quality products, and all along, it's just one of those things that I think as business owners we found there's certain areas where you just don't want to skimp out, and your image straight up is first thing. If somebody picks that up and it's a crappy water bottle, how many million crappy water bottles have you gotten already?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
from all the events and trade shows.
Not to say anything bad. I know budget cuts, but like the U.S. Army water bottles, I've had like 10 of those, and they all suck and leak right off the bat. Like, come on. But they got the logo on it, and I get it, right? But we're in a different ballgame here, so we want something a little bit nicer. That's where a little bit nicer product comes in.
How do you feel about if I came to you 2 years later and said, hey, this invoice never got paid. What would you say, think, do? What would be your next steps? And is that ethical? Like, should I have just let it go?
Yeah. I mean, if you came after me 2 years later for a bill, I'd probably ignore you for 2 years. I mean, like, man, it's one thing if it's a couple months. Even that, I feel like as business owners, we run into these situations, but a couple of years is a bit, where's the statute of limitations on this? And how big was the bill? That's another question.
So, did you know that in the state of Oklahoma, for written contracts, the Oklahoma statute of limitations for civil cases kind of can depend, but they range from 1 to 5 years. For written contracts, 5 years. For oral contracts, 3 years. So you have to pay that bill. I can still come after you up to 5 years if you didn't pay that bill.
Okay. Oh, man, it'd be really hard for me to figure this one out. Because listen, ethically, I'm going to pay that bill if I actually owe it.
And you had a good relationship.
Yeah, I'm going to pay it.
Okay, yeah.
But like
business wise, you're like, show me the proof.
The business wise part of me is like, how are you still in business if I owe you this money for 2 years? And why did I not pay you that money 2 years ago?
Why did you not catch it faster?
Right. Was there something that I did that you like? Did you just not send me the invoice? Like, what is the situation to why 2 years later that invoice is? Because that's not like me. I would 2 years is pretty ridiculous. Now,
I don't have a bill that goes past 60 days.
Yeah, right. And from your perspective, you pointed at me like, hey, if you came to me with a bill for 2 years ago, I mean, like, I feel like that falls completely on you. Now, as a business owner, I'm eating that shit. I'm not going to code to you 2 years later and be like, hey, you owe me money. I'm just not. Unless I've been hounding you for 2 years to pay this bill. But that's different because you would already got a lien notice.
So I agree. Like, it's definitely bad. It's definitely bad business.
Oh yeah.
For me to send you a bill from 2 years ago,
Absolutely.
And because I managed my books poorly.
Yep.
And for me to come after you and say, hey, you owe me a bill from 2 years ago. Now, if we have a good relationship, you're going to question it, but still pay it.
Oh yeah.
To maintain the relationship. You're also going to question it and be like, well, can you provide me a transaction statement?
Right.
From
some sort of proof.
From at least a few billing periods prior to, all the way to date, because now I'm questioning the entire last 2 years of our history. So if you can show me where you invoiced me and a payment was applied to that invoice for the last 2.25 years, cool. I'll still pay that one because I'll find the gap with you and I get it. No problem. Right? I've no issues. But in a business standpoint, I need you to show me some proof that bill is never paid.
Yep.
I will also do my due diligence and I will check our records to see if we see there's a month that was lapsed. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a real life thing that actually happened. Not with me though, but with a client and a vendor.
I mean, so it's that sort of has happened with me. Never 2 years. It's usually like just a season, right? So like our summer season, and then like we hit right now our fall season, it kind of slows down. Or we're trying to catch up on some invoices and stuff that may have got past. Now that has happened in years. I've been really good about it. But in the past, before, yeah, man, I've had invoices where they were a couple 3-4 months old, and I hadn't sent the invoice. And in those particular times and in the business state that I was in that time, I would, depending on the customer, reach out to the customer and I'm like, hey, man, you owe me this bill. I'm sorry, I haven't caught up. And almost, I'd say 99% of the time, customers like, I was waiting when you were going to send me that bill, and they'd pay me right then. Again, that's the relationship aspect. They understand I'm trying to grow. They understand I'm busy, small business owner. Like, they get it. Admittedly, though, that's a really shitty conversation to have as a business owner. Like, hey, I forgot to bill you 3 months ago. Do you mind paying this bill now? Like it's just, I don't like that. Now, if that happens now, I'll be pissed at somebody.
But that's interesting that you have 5 years to collect legally. If you had a contract in place, the service was delivered or provided for, and you didn't pay the bill, I have up to 5 years to come after you for it. Legally.
Yeah, but man, that's a hard question, because that's the whole thing. Like, how much is the bill? How much was your profit on the job?
Because $1,500.
How much was the profit on the job?
I don't know. It was a vendor, and I know the client that they billed for, and that I caught wind of it because I'm managing budgets and stuff.
Right.
So I was like, wait. I was like, show me the proof. And I had to bring in like the owner and the accountant person or whatever. And I was like,
how much revenue does this company make a year?
The one that sent the bill, the vendor?
Yes.
I mean, maybe. I mean,
millions?
No, they're probably talking less than half mil.
Okay, then yeah, I probably could see why they're trying to chase after that. Like me, $1,500 from 2 years ago, gone. That's still a lot of money?
Money's money.
It's still a lot of money. I'm not gonna. But the way I'm gonna see it now is like, I'm a dumbass. How do I now work twice as hard to make up that $1,500 that I lost 2 years ago?
Yeah,
that's the way I see it. And now, that's like, I don't know. That's a tough one, dude. But
I'm curious to know what you guys would.
Yeah,
what you guys would do.
Yeah, I'm curious because
man. So so now we're talking about like doing good business.
Yeah.
I've got some tips on managing your calendar. I live, eat, sleep, and breathe nearly on my calendar. Now I'm not too crazy to where I'm like, I've got restroom time, I've got lunch time, I've got to go drive time. Like I don't do that with my calendar, but generally speaking, like nobody really manages their calendar very well. And especially like in a business structure, I'm like, if we're going to have a meeting, I will send you a calendar invite. And the title of that will have meeting, a bar, my name, and your name, right? Or if it's a business deal, it would say my business and your business. And then in the location, it would have where we're meeting. And then in the description, if I wanted to take it that far, it would be what we're meeting about. You may forget and wonder, why am I meeting Braedon? Mm-hmm. So if you look in your calendar or in your calendar invite via email, you have two places now you can reference it and go, that's who I'm meeting. Well, first of all, is it a call or a meeting? Mm-hmm. Great. I can quickly see that it's a meeting. I can see quickly who it is with. I can see where it's at, and I can see what we're talking about and if anybody else is included, because you structured it that way.
Right. And I would agree that nobody uses a calendar. I wish they would, and nobody does. It bothers the hell out of me. And I, like you, I'm not as good as you by no means, but if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. Like, I'm sorry. It doesn't exist.
Did it really happen?
It literally, did it really happen? And and I say that, did it really happen? Because I'm actually pretty good. We had a podcast with Bobby on, 2 years ago, mm-hmm. Where he said that he would retroactively go back and put in his calendar what he actually did on the back end. And I actually do that. I go back in. I'm like, yesterday, what did I do? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, the day before I did this. Because then, and maybe you do it for the same reason I do, but it also feels good to look back at your calendar and be like, man, last week, I feel like I wasted it. And then you look at it like, oh, okay, so like I didn't waste it. I was just focused on a certain other part of the business or another part of my life that week or whatever that happens to be. But yeah, the calendar, oh man.
So we rely heavily on that. And one of the things I was just recently doing was auditing two of our departments to see if we've delivered upon the services over the last 12 months. So if we charge a client for a monthly thing, we should have done that 12 times. Did that happen 12 times? So I look at the calendar to make sure that it was scheduled and someone was out there and actually did it. And then I reference the content in our drive to see if the content's not only was it on your calendar, but are the contents, did it actually happen? Did you actually go out there and acquire, shoot it, photo, video it? And then I go, okay, well, that's great. Now I need somewhere to log that actually happened in our system. So I go into ClickUp and then I put the details in there and mark it as done. Because there was like 9 things that were just blank. And I was like, we haven't done 9 content visits. I was like, that's not right. I was like, I know. So I luckily went back through it. And it also can help balance that, because if we do more than 12, now they owe me money.
Right.
Because now I paid someone to do the job and now I didn't get paid for it. So I didn't make sure it was billable for it. And I can't just send out a bill without telling the client, hey, you're going to get a bill for this. Do you know that?
Right. Because those are also awkward conversations, like, wait, what's this extra bill for? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I get that a lot, frankly, because I get, like, I'll be meeting with you and, hey, well, I noticed this. Oh, well, go ahead and bill me for that and go ahead and get it done. And then you forget. And then you get a bill for like $120. And like, hey, man, I thought we discussed, like, yeah, but you also said you wanted to fix that and that. Oh, yeah.
You know what's been happening this year? We've been doing free shit.
Oh, yeah.
Left and right, bleeding.
Yeah.
And I go,
happens a lot.
And I go, wait, why the client paid for 3. Why are you doing 13?
Oh, that's bad.
And so I have a conversation with the client. I go, hey, we did 3. I'm sorry, we've done 7 right now. I'm going to cover an additional 3 on top of the 3 that you paid for, making it 6. You still need us to do 13 or whatever the number was. It was pretty close to that. We'll have a bill for those other 5 at this rate, and I just want to let you know that that's going to be coming. We'll come to find out that bill was never sent out, and somebody else talked to him a day later and was like, "No, like we're not going to bill you for this," and blah 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 blah. We're just going to cover it. I was like, "What? Why? Why are you doing that? You know, like you know what? That just cost us $2,700, and now we're doing that stuff for free. So like now I have to go into like a chain of command sort of conversation and really structure up the communication flows on who is able to make these kind of decisions and justify it, and here are the rules as to why, and where you can make that decision on your own, but they can't. You know, like they do the work that is only given to them by this person. So if it is given to them by this person, has been authorized to do so.
And see, I see you. Well, our businesses are quite different, right?
Yeah.
And this year you've exploded quite a lot, and I see now you're trying to understand how you structure your business for chain of command, hierarchy. Who gets the shit end of the stick, plain and simple. And I see what you mean, because in our business it's quite similar, but because our work is different, like for instance, nobody changes the bills except me or Aaron at this point, right? The only way we change those bills are by going in and doing it ourselves, right? But the guys out in the field do not do extra work that's not on that work order unless Aaron or I go by and tell them to do it. So
chain of command.
Now, there may be instances where they say, hey, I need to do X, Y, Z, and they call Andy, right? Andy's like, hey, so on and so forth, and either fixes it or he relays that to us, right? Chain of command. The guys never get to have the freedom to say, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And a perfect example happened yesterday, actually. The guys came in and they had to load up mulch. And the guy's like, hey, I got to load up mulch. And Andy says, all right, well, I just talked to so-and-so, and you're going to load up so much red mulch, so much black mulch, and so much brown mulch. And my foreman says, no, I don't get red mulch. I only do black and brown. He's like, no, I just talked to Abraham, who's above him, and he said to do red. And he's like, no, I'm telling you, we don't do red. And Andy's like, I just talked to him. He said, do red. Okay, do red. Well, they follow chain of commands. Andy took the shit end of the stick because Andy fucked up. Because Andy should know better that you don't do red mulch on those houses. Only black or brown.
So they tear it out?
Huh?
Tear it out and put it in?
Tear it out and put it in.
Dang. Yeah, so that costs even more money.
Right. It's
but
like, it's not the worst, but it sucks.
But you definitely...
You got to fix it, right.
Yeah.
But it sucks. But on the back end, because the chain of command, you're able to point at somebody and say, you fucked up. And now it's not like the end of the world, right? But it's like, dude, come on. And he's like, oh, well, no, it was just a little bit of confusion. It's like, right. But the confusion came in because we didn't follow policy. And we didn't follow policy because why? Because it's not written.
So I have my process. I haven't even gotten started on policy yet.
Oh, dude.
I've just got process, and I'm at 80 pages of process right now.
Oh, wow.
And it covers I call this the 4 Sooner systems.
Okay.
So first of all, I need to figure out how to acquire. It's called the client acquisition process.
Yeah, right.
How do I get more business?
Priority number 1.
How do I close them? And, how do I pitch deals? And, what's my follow-up process? And what are some template ideas? And what are the 5 most common things that I've said, objections?
Yeah, right.
What are the 5 most objections? And what are the most common rebuttals to those that can help those be overcome? So great. Client acquisition. Next step is fulfillment. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Onboarding and account management. And then we go into fulfillment, and then we go into hiring. In that order. So you bring in business, you make sure you get them comfortable and well managed and billed properly and whatever else. And then you go into actually delivering the service and fulfilling whatever they paid for. And then you cycle through those so fast or so much volume or whatever, you need to hire people. So if you can figure out a good hiring process and how to vet people right based on like culture and qualifications or whatever. So that's where I have another document with marketing staff on if we were to grow this to a couple what if people in a department, their roles, their responsibilities, and the 3 to 5 most important things that they're responsible for has already been predefined. So we know the next 2 to 3 people in each department that we're going to hire next. We're not ready to do it.
Right.
They've already got their job details, their descriptions, their qualifications, and the 3 to 5 most important things that you're in charge of. And that's what I've been really stuck with is like, everyone's like, yeah, I can help out with that. I'm like, that's great. But don't forget, you have 3 to 5 of these responsibilities that we just talked about. Your job is to do this, and maybe not 5. You may have 3. You may just have 3 really most important things. And you may be like, well, I have all these taken care of. Great. Figure out something else to do. But don't let these fall wayside, you know? Mm-hmm. So
you got your core function. And then on the other side, you can help be, you know, a little bit of support for everybody else. Absolutely.
That's been really fun. And I've been making a joke. I'm like, we have enough brains now. You all can help me figure this out. I'll get it to 70, 80%, and you help me get it the other 100.
Yeah. And I will agree because, you know, I have that same issue where I would.
You got your glass?
I did. She's ready.
This is the Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve 1824 single malt Scotch whiskey.
That purple one was good. It was a Glenlivet. What? Let's see.
14-year Glenlivet?
Yeah, that's a good one.
My grandpa's a big fan of the Glenlivet.
But yeah, so like even with that, you know, kind of going into all that is I too feel, hey, my team should help me build this. And man, I'll be honest, I think you're gonna come to a realization soon. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope you are, where you realize you're fucked and it's all on you. And I only say that because, again, our businesses are different, right? And today I got told that the reason I didn't get a document in my email that gets in my email every Friday was because I didn't hold somebody accountable and ask for it. Yeah, put that together, right? Somebody told me today. Because
you didn't tell someone to do their job?
Because I didn't hold someone accountable and ask for this document that has been expected in my email every Friday for the last 3 years.
So now they're being held accountable because they didn't do it.
Okay, exactly.
But they should have done it.
Exactly.
And it's been done that way.
But the reason I'm saying this is supposed to be somebody who's supposed to be helping me build the company. This is supposed to be somebody who's supposed to help me build. I'm supposed to be able to get it to 75, 80%, and they're supposed to help me take it the rest of the way. You come to find out that doesn't happen. And it's okay. It's okay. It just sucks.
Happen.
It just sucks. Yeah. And I'm not saying they haven't helped build. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you and I'm learning this.
Ooh, that's good.
We take it 75, 80%. We find really smart people to take it to 95, and then it's up to you and I to close the fucking deal. And it sucks. Like, it sucks. Like, why the fuck couldn't you just take that extra 5%?
I was just listening.
It's not my job.
I was just listening to either a podcast or video or whatever about how like a CEO is a firefighter, right? His primary job is to get out there and to find people that are smarter than him and that are smarter than his existing people to help solve problems that either have or are happening or maybe even haven't happened yet, right? And of course, if they are happening, it's a big problem. It's his responsibility to go put out those fires, right? It's also his problem to foresee future risk and to help manage a little bit of that risk.
Absolutely.
You know, hey, emails. You email a lot? Speaking of which.
Sort of, kind of.
Did you know that there's a CC field?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
I know.
You know what BCC is?
Blind. What is it? Blind CC?
Blind carbon copy.
Blind carbon copy. That's what the
CC is. Carbon copy.
So would you like me to explain it to you so that way you know that I know?
Yes, please.
Okay, so a carbon copy. Let's say CJ is here randomly, typically the boss, and you and I were supposed to be working, and CJ is my boss. So I want to prove to CJ that I'm doing my job. I'm going to CC CJ to prove to him that I'm communicating and doing my job with you. It's pretty much what CCs are usually for. Could be used in other situations, but typically. Blind CC. Hey, CJ, I'm going to send Braedon this whole thing, but I don't want Braedon to know that you also got it too. You BCC that, so that way CJ sees the stuff. If Braedon responds to it, CJ will still get it, and Braedon will have no idea any of that ever happened. You guys should use that shit. It's really handy. Really handy.
Yep. You know how many people don't reply all? Reply all if there's other people in there. The only reason why you don't reply all and you take somebody out is if they're requested to be out.
Correct. But okay, I I'm guilty of the not replying all, but admittedly, I do that on purpose sometimes because sometimes it doesn't need to be replied all. Now, and other times, most of the time, I don't even realize.
Did you start the email?
Okay. If I start the email, I will reply all. If I do not restart the email, that's where sometimes I don't even realize there's more people being.
You know how much that drives me nuts? That I have to actually take an extra step on my side to loop in CJ on communications that you and I have had. Because you didn't reply all.
Yep.
And now I have to not only loop him in and tell him, hey, this is what that previous email was about.
Hey, so let me tell you something about this. That whole email situation.
Yeah.
Bro, I had no idea anything about that meeting until literally like Monday. I was like, wait a second. I already have a meeting with Corey. I had no idea what our meeting was. And I think that happened Friday. Somehow Friday. But I was like, I don't remember any of that. And I was like, that's weird. Me and Corey already had a whole thing set up. What? I've got a thing set up with Braedon and Corey? Okay, this is weird. Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
It was a whole thing.
That's where I was left out of the loop. And Corey was like, we need to do this date.
Yeah,
and I was like,
okay.
Confused. And then he's like, wait, why is it still showing this location? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was just a big confusion.
Yeah.
We had a fun Friday.
So I'm out of that now.
Yeah, I believe so as of right now.
Yeah, but you guys are in. So.
It was a thing. But yes.
I scheduled y'all's lunch. You're welcome.
It was a whole thing. But anyways, yes, the CC, BCC, very helpful. Great anytime, even especially if you're trying to loop people in that aren't sure they're in the loop. So I use that sometimes with like customers. If I'm talking to the wife and she's wanting certain things, but I know that the husband's paying and he's the one who's
CC the husband.
We'll CC the husband. Everything goes to the wife, but the husband gets CC'd.
Yeah.
And again, that's courtesy. That's strictly courtesy. He's obviously going to see it. But
it's almost like business etiquette on knowing how to utilize
that's all it is.
Your emails. Yeah. And same thing with like calendar comment I said.
And
like,
I agree.
If you just made a habit of structuring that correctly from the get-go, it would keep everybody on the same page. Because you know how many times it will be like, call with so-and-so?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, who's calling who? Is this a Google Meet? Is this a whatever kind of link?
Right.
Nobody knows. Then it's 1:15 and 1 o'clock call, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to call him.
Right.
Oh, hey, sorry, I got busy. Well, I wish you would have told me too, or whatever.
Right, I could have stayed busy too.
Yeah. I could have prioritized something else in my day.
Now, I have to agree with you, but I think the problem with that, man. Okay, let's reframe this. CJ, I know you're back behind the head. How old are you? 34. Okay, 34, 31, right? 32, right? And 30. We grew up when the internet was coming in, right? We are not near as savvy as the younger generation. So the average person that's 30 to 35 years old probably doesn't know what CC means, probably doesn't know what a BCC is, and definitely don't want to learn how to use a fucking calendar.
Who?
That's the problem. I think most people about the 30 years old age that's not already in the tech world or in
or older. I don't know. It's a corporate thing, though. I think it comes down to good business etiquette because there's people in their 40s and 50s
okay, but I'm
that are
saying
executives and understand how to use it.
Okay, but you just said it. Corporate. We're in small business, bro. We're not corporate. It don't matter how much you try to tell your customers and your employees to implement this. They're not going to care as much as if they went to a corporate job.
My team cares.
But they're not going to care
because
as
I pushed it.
much.
I was like, no, you apply all this.
And
is
I'm
how you
working on
calendar.
it. And I'm working on that with my team.
You know what's funny is it's created a culture thing.
Okay. Because it's not the calendar.
Yeah, because new team members have joined in, and this is how it's actually happened. Like Maria put on the calendar that they're going to shoot 3 people's headshots.
Okay.
She put in headshots to the location and sent them invites.
Yeah.
She shows up to the office and she goes, hey, is anybody, where's so-and-so? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, okay, well, nobody confirmed it. So I was like, well, Leslie's over there waiting for you to shoot her headshot. And
she didn't confirm.
Leslie didn't confirm. Nobody did. And so she goes, okay. So Maria shows up in my office. She has her camera in her hand. She runs over there, shoots Leslie's headshot. And then I think she calls Matt and Chandler. I told Maria, I was like, why are you asking me? Call them. And tell them, where are you? And if they go, well, I'm headed to the office and you were supposed to be here early. Well, why? Well, I don't know. What am I supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be coming over here to get your headshot. Well, I didn't know that. Did you check your calendar?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Well, now you know that we communicate in ways that aren't like, sit down, look at me, let me take your time and understand that you're going to do this.
Right.
No. We've tried to be efficient, and being efficient and like communicating in little ways and making progress on stuff can make exponentially
life way easier.
Way easier. And you can move faster. So like Leslie, for example, she was like, I need to talk about this web support process and how it works. And I think something needs to be improved. I'm going to schedule time with you on the calendar. I was like, no, bring it to our issues list on our level 10. Let us address it, because you said you needed me, Madison, and Sydney to be all aware and be able to pitch in on it. Guess who's all there?
Mm-hmm. Right. Level
willing,
10, you get
ready.
Everybody.
We're all there. We can all talk about it. We don't need another meeting to do it.
Yeah. Right.
And if it's a high priority thing, if it's going to take some extra time, yes, let's dedicate specific time for it.
Most of the time they're not, though. And especially like you said, with as much brain power as you have now, most of the time it's not. Yeah. Most of the time it's small miscommunication issues, or, like, hey, I just put down B, so-and-so's expected to pick up B and move it on to C. It's literally that simple. But most of the time it's just not communicating. That's honestly one of my favorite things about the level 10s is it's just, you get a lot of those frustrations and those things. So like our level 10s have been, they're huge. Right now, my favorite part is our job packet part of our level 10, which is where you literally look at the schedule for the coming week. We look at the jobs that are coming up. We go through them. We say, hey, is there anything that we need to prep for this job? Is there anything we're missing? Is there any any BS that we need to know for the coming week? And the reason I love those is because on Friday, if you do not ask me questions about that job, and I'm not talking about my salesman, I'm talking about my operations manager, the one who's sending the guys to go do the job. If you don't ask me questions about that job on Friday, well, I don't feel guilty when you need me on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the morning. That's on your own. You should have asked me last Friday. You weren't paying attention. You didn't pay attention to the job that I told you. Whatever that is, I don't feel guilty. I can focus on the things that I want to. And it's been beautiful because slowly but surely, the right questions are being asked, right? The right things are being thought of.
Start learning that, right? Oh, I'm being held accountable for this.
Exactly. To where, and
I need to do my part.
Yeah, and not even being, like Andy has, I got
you can pour the next
one. I got a great praise from Andy this week. I had a customer who reached out to us via Google, a Google message, only one so far from a Google message, which is interesting. But he reached out. And whenever I met the guy, I kind of had this feeling this guy was going to be a little tricky. He just he gave me those vibes. You always know. And those are a little short, but that's okay.
It's a drum. It's a drum of whiskey.
Isaac Bowman, Pioneer Spirit.
This one you're going to like. I believe it's on a port cask barrel.
Yep. So anyways, I went to this guy and I could tell he was already going to be like a little bit of a stickler. He was a great gentleman, but he wanted me to sell him essentially like $10,000 worth of work. And I was like, no, you can call me back in a couple years and I might do it, but it's too early. Like he's got a failing wall. And I was like, it's too early. We're going to need to wait. We need the seasons to change. I need to see if it's going to settle anymore. So I sold him a little bit more. And then Andy went out there and I happened to meet out there, and the guy just gave me the biggest praise for Andy. Just a spectacular young man, really knows what he's doing, and so on and so forth. And I don't even remember what we were talking about, but it was a great feeling to have that man recognize that I wasn't the one who had to deal with all the problems. I had sold something and Andy came in and solved the problems for me. Yeah. Right. And Andy did this, knew what he was doing because of our level 10. That's where we were. Because of our level 10. The Friday before, he asked me, what's the plan of this? Why are we doing this bed? Well, we're redirecting water. We're doing.
Level 10 has become so crucial to the business. It's nuts.
The book traction is nuts.
Yeah. What I've been trying to encourage everyone, because this has happened, and last week.
How are your rocks?
I don't have any. I need to talk to. No, I've got rocks. I've got rocks. I don't have the scorecard. The rocks are great.
Scorecard's hard.
Scorecard's hard.
We adjusted ours even just this quarter.
So, I will say whatever. I'll keep things on track. Whatever, blah blah. And then I'll be like, "Does this sound good?"
Crickets.
Somebody say something. Like, y'all don't need to be quiet. And eventually I turned around and I said, CJ, does that sound good? Yep. Sounds good to me, boss. Cool. Thank you, Echo. Like I'm in a kitchen and I'm a cook and I'm at Expo. Hey, can I get an Echo, please? Dos papas, por favor. Thank you, Echo.
That's hilarious you said that, because today I got made fun of because I said good job to myself. And Aaron, myself, is like, you really just congratulated yourself? I was like, fuck yeah, that was a 40% profit on the job. Good job, Abel.
Yeah, speak up.
Nobody else says it, so why not?
And so I'm reminding everyone, like, I need you all to crossfire, and I need to hear some echo. This isn't me presenting.
Does anybody ever like? Okay, it's a terrible example, but here's an example. Who was it just now? It was you, or what was it? Somebody just said that Leslie thought the shirts were masculine, or Leslie said thought the shirts were masculine, right? And she's like, well, I didn't say I didn't like them or whatever, right? And she's trying to, and I have a saying, and I love it, and I say it all the time. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
Okay.
Like, why do you have to be
Cat
scared?
Williams?
Why do you
Kevin
have to
Hart?
be scared? Just say it, right? Just say it, and then we'll figure it out together. And that's what a team. That's where, the back and forth. You need it. You need them to say what they think is not going to work.
And I'm telling everyone, don't. Like, you all have to hold each other accountable,
mm-hmm.
Okay? Because if you just come to me, you're bringing all these monkeys to my office, and now they're bouncing around, and I've got to figure out how to find and give them bananas, which is my problem solving. I don't need to do this by myself. If you have a problem because so-and-so isn't able to do the content visits in order for you to be able to make social media posts, and those aren't quality, and someone hasn't done it the last 2 months, don't come tell me. You go tell them, where are my content visits? I need this to make my social media
will you
content.
Come help me?
No. And when do you do this? At the level 10.
At the level 10. When everything's out on the table.
Everything's on the table. And don't call me out. No,
call me out.
No, I'm calling you out. You need to know that I'm holding so-and-so accountable too. Because otherwise, if I don't, then you're going to be like, why aren't you holding so-and-so accountable? No, you're going to hear. I'm going to, when the shit needs to be put on the table and everyone has to smell it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm like, sorry, you're not going to like the way it smells, but everyone needs to smell it.
Oh, I know.
It's such a bad analogy.
No,
but the other part of it, when it's like, listen, you did a good job. You did a good job. Excellent work, guys. Great job. You're going to hear it.
Oh,
and I've recently set this expectation to where, like, there's a bar.
Yeah.
Guess who sets the bar?
You.
You set that bar. And guess when you get praise?
When you go above that bar.
When you really go above the bar. There's a little bit of a margin.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a little bit of margin. So when you go above that margin in the bar, I go, that's when you're going to hear praise from me, from coworkers, from clients, for yourself. And guess what happens when you go below the margin of the bar?
Not shit.
You're going to hear it. You're going to, you may be lucky if you hear it, because sometimes if you go long enough without hearing it, you're gone. You're fired, clients let you go, or it's too late and it has become too damaged to repair. Right? So, and I go, I will do my best to acknowledge when you're in that range of the bar or when you're outside of the range of the bar, because that's my job. My job is to encourage you to keep going and do a great job and say, I'm proud of you, blah, blah, blah. You're doing, or when you go above and beyond. Also, my job is to make sure that I'm preventing issues from arising when you don't do your job. You won't hear me when you hit the bar.
No, absolutely not.
You stay within that range, and that's great.
What?
And I don't want you to hear me only when you go below the bar. I want, and you're not going to always hear me praise you all the time. So again, there's going to be a little bit of that range. And I also had a conversation too. I'm going to shut up.
No, you're good.
Where representation is really important. You represent me. I represent you. You could do a fantastic job, but if I do a shit job, you do a shit job too.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Told the rest of my team that too. I said, website, y'all could do a really good job on websites and SEO and listings, whatever else. But if social media sucks for a client, they're not going to come to us and be like, can you do our website too? No. They're not going to let us go for social and hire us for web. They're going to be like, all you guys suck.
Man, I like how you...
I'm like, no. Like, listen, you guys have to hold each other to this representation standard, this bar, and it's not me. I don't hold the standard. Now, listen,
But you do.
To some degree, because when
you
that
don't
bar...
hold the standard.
But if that
set
bar...
the standard.
When that standard is consistently maintained, I go, let's do this.
Right. That's your job.
Let's do just enough. I continue to push it to continue to raise the bar. So I don't just want that bar to be like, well, just make sure you clock in.
No, dude. No, none of us want that.
And if you're making a post, then it counts. Like, no, like that bar is like, great, you do this, cool. All right, now let's make this, let's maintain it, and let's continue to like strive for excellence and scale.
Right.
And come up with something new, be some scientists, not perfectionists, which is a big thing we're talking about too, which is helping set some expectations with clients, because like they want to hire us and I think it's magic. I'm like, there's so much more shit that goes on to what we do than what you can imagine, especially if you've never done any marketing and advertising and you don't really understand it all. It's so crucial to a business, and it requires so much more other business functions that I don't have control over. I can't, I don't know. And you could come and you could spend $1,000 a month with me and I could prove all the results. You could also come to me and I could not prove any results. And you're like, why? I'm like, your product or your service is really hard to compete with in this space. Nothing I can do about it. Mm-hmm. Or I could be like, and sometimes it could be like, nobody gives a shit about your service or product. Nobody understands it. Like, you're trying to disrupt the industry so much to where people are like, what? Why do I want this? I don't get it.
We don't even have a problem here. Why are we selling? Yeah, right.
And you could really be solving a problem. But the consumer could just be like,
Yep.
I don't get it. And then you're like, we wasted 10 grand over the last few months trying to advertise. How come we didn't get any business? You guys suck. I'm like, no. Like, you're such a niched thing. Yeah. And you haven't done your brand new business. It's hard to get people to trust you. There's no reputation, which goes into like what I've told people, like, you have to focus on branding as well as, because branding takes time. Mm-hmm. It takes months, if not years. And you can only do so much in branding to try to get people's vote over time and try to create that organicness. But in the meantime, while you try to build the brand, you have to bring in business now, which is where advertising comes in, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyways, we should move on to watching TikToks.
We should have. Let's do it.
Still good on time, huh?
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing, but Braedon said we're doing something.
Unless you got something
I got nothing.
Chime in on?
No.
All right.
This is delicious Isaac Bowman. That's pretty delicious. Yeah. That's pretty good.
All right. Let's see here.
I opened a sandwich shop.
So I've been a big fan of Hormozy lately.
Sandwiches.
And he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I've listened to a couple.
If I open a sandwich shop, how can I make the sandwiches too good? Like, just if someone takes a bite, they're like, fuck, this is the best sandwich I've ever had. Like, if you just get that, then the rest of it doesn't matter. What is the one thing that if I just get this one thing right, everything else shrinks into irrelevance?
People want to find their passion, but you don't find it, you create it. And you create it by getting good at something. And to get good at stuff, you start by doing something you suck at. Then you get good. Then you like it. Then people ask how you found your passion. Answer: by starting when you sucked and not giving up.
It's a good point. Can I chime in?
I got something.
Go.
One of my best friends this week texted me, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. I was texting you at the same time about my sales manual, right? And he texted me. I said, hey, I'm working on getting myself out of the business. And he starting when you suck, right? And he said to me, I hope to be there in 10 years. And it broke my heart because I realized I will not be able to get out of that business for 10 years when I thought I was supposed to do it in 2, when I started the business. And that's a really good point because I started when I thought I sucked. Well, I know I sucked. Better yet, I know I sucked. And I just told my wife today that it's taken 6 years, 7 years almost, to get to the point where I finally understand all the moving pieces of a successful business.
It's taken me 10 years.
Yeah. No, I can't make it happen like that. I don't have the finances to make it happen like that. But I understand all the pieces, right? How they all kind of mesh together to get this one happy business. I finally get it. But I'm still not even halfway a professional. Right? I still suck. When we look at that, when we started day one, we sucked at business. We had no idea. We had an idea. Maybe the books we read, we had an idea what it was. But like I told Kylie today, I finally understand what all those books that I read mean. And it's taken 6 years and 100 employees by now, I'm sure, that we've gone through.
Being obsessed about everything.
It's stupid.
Late nights and early mornings.
Millions
and
of dollars through and out the business, like all this shit. To finally understand that I know nothing. And it's like, wow. And it's true. You're right. You start a sandwich shop and similar by finding something that's so good. And it's like right now, I'm in that point in my business where I know how to make a business. I know. So now, and I'm having this conversation with my sales guy, my little brother. He's trying to go after all these big leads and all these big people. I'm like, that's great. Go for it. I'm not going to do that. He's like, why? I was like, because I'm going to get so undeniably good and I'm going to be in the same room with those people, that if they want that product or service, they have no choice but to go to one or two people in the whole country, in the whole town, whatever, county, Tulsa. I'm going to be one of those two people. Plain and simple. You're going to be so good that everybody, and listen, even if you don't like me, if you want to provide a great product for your customer, you're going to have to call me.
If you want to look good,
because I don't,
down top, you're going to call me.
Because guess what? I don't care who you are, man. Pay your bill, and I'm going to make sure my work is the absolute best work I can do, because that's my name, not yours. That's for you, but it's my name. That's, like Nike puts their logo on everything. That's their logo. That's their name. There's a certain standard. They're not going to put that shit on some Walmart shoes. I mean, they're not. There's a certain standard. So for me, that's it. I'm going to get so undeniably good, like the sandwich, right? You cannot deny that you're just like, fuck, I made the right choice. So that's kind of the same concept.
So when I'm building out the process, when I was talking with Leslie and CJ and Madison, it's almost like I want them to feel like that they just made the best choice of their life. They're scared of shit. It's like buying a house where you're like, oh my God, we just spent $300,000, $100,000, whatever, $100,000 on this house. The mortgage is going to come, but guess what? We got a house and it's done. The paperwork's over. We're like, let's go move in. You know what I mean? And that excitement starts to fill. You know what I mean? So when clients hire us, I want them to be like, not only did they make the decision to sign and fork over a check or whatever that is, and them to go, because there's going to be a little bit of doubt, but I go, Leslie and Madison, it's your job to come in and give them a big old hug. Like, imagine you walk into a room and someone just runs to you and they go, oh my God, Abel, it's you. I'm so glad you're here. Guess what, man? I'm so excited to work with you. Like, this is going to happen. This is going to be great. And they won't know that the follow through is there until about 3-4 months later, to where that they're really going to be followed up by the original guy who closed them 90 days later and go, how's it going? And they're going to be like, oh my God, it's fantastic. The team is this. They've taken care of X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. That's the kind of experience that we want to give in the first 90 days, because that's like almost a continued first impression. Mm-hmm. So like...
Yeah, because your sales cycle is way long. Way long.
Dude, it takes 45 days on average to close. That's long. 60 days. We really have to build a pipeline. There's sometimes to where like someone will come in and they're closing under a week.
Yeah, but that's not typical at all.
No.
That's not typical.
No, because, when I'm working with a business owner, it's, I'm going out of town next week on vacation. I'm going fishing with the boys or whatever. Or it's, I've got to talk with my partner.
Not a good time.
Or I've got to talk with my wife. Or, I've got to work on finances with this. Let's talk next quarter. Mm-hmm. Or, I don't know, I've got to sniff my dog's ass first. Or I don't care.
Oh, I know. Anything. I know.
Drives me nuts.
I'm a business owner, bro. I know.
Ready for the next one?
Terrible. Let's do it.
I'd say one of the strongest mental frames that has gotten me through my hardest times is thinking this will be the story that I will one day tell. And that means the harder it is, the bigger the dragon, the more epic the story, and by consequence, the more epic the hero. And if you think about the difference between winners and losers, winners define themselves by what they made happen, and losers define themselves by what happened to them. And the difficult part of the lonely chapter is that the Rocky cutscene lasts 90 seconds in the movie and lasts 5 years in reality.
With no promise of it ever ending, no guarantee of glory.
And the only certainty that I can give you is that it's the same thing that every other person who got through that period went through. And you won't die. And if you do die, you won't care because you'll be dead. And so, best case, you win. Worst case, it won't matter.
Because you'll be dead. That's a good one. Honestly, that's a good one.
It almost gives you like a confidence to take risk.
Yeah. I think I have to agree with that.
Some calculated risk.
Calculated risk for sure.
But even then, the guts to go, I'm just going to get started.
I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And I agree with that because, man, yeah.
And it's interesting. I was like, in a movie, some of those scenes, they're short. But in life, like you just said, forever. How long did it take you?
Yeah, 7 years now, basically. And I was supposed to do it.
Your first 2 years were bullshit. Dude, the last 5 years, you were actually trying to learn. You're in your cutscene. You're out of your cutscene.
So confident I was going to be out of there in 2 years. And here I am, 7 years in. And you see,
where I was supposed to be in 10 years?
Gone.
10 million, 15,
Yeah, exactly.
20 million.
No, but
I had it down on paper.
And I know, dude,
I had that
I
as a
know.
revenue standpoint. I was like, we're going to have all these locations, all these people, blah, blah, blah. It was dreamt.
But like
Loved
you
it.
said, it's, I definitely feel like that's what, perfect example. We signed on the dotted line, right? We just talked about somebody signing on the dotted line and have a little bit of that, second guessing. Is this really going to work? Is this really going to be? We sign on the dotted line and you assume in 2 years you're out, blah, 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 blah. And then 2 years in, you're a month in, right? And you're like, fuck, is this actually even working? Is this even really? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. But you're already committed. You've already been there a little bit. So now you gotta keep you going, right? And I would say it's very similar. Like, you just keep going and you just don't quit. And it, like, for instance, with you, like, you take that risk because at a certain point you realize, and I think you and I do really good about living this way, and maybe not very many people so, but it's like same thing, right? Like, I'm in a very tricky position right now, mentally. It's just mentally, really, but where I'm like, I can't afford to, and I keep mentally smacking myself in the head, say you can't afford not to.
You know what I'm going to like about
afford not to take that risk.
Because what are the repercussions if you don't?
Right, exactly. And
that scares you even more.
Absolutely. And this, to go back to that, is
fuck it, I might as well just go ahead and take the risk.
I'm literally right there, because like with Aaron, it's slow season. There's no leads. There's really nothing. This guy's on salary, not anything crazy, but still he's on salary. And not only that, I'm giving away the profits that he does get, and so on and so forth. Like, oh God, it's hard. And we get in a position where he's like, I need more money. And I could say, F you. I can't even afford you anyways. Keep going. But that's I can't afford you. I can't afford to. And then the backside of me, the smart side, you and I both know exactly what we're talking about. The smart side of me says, hey, endure the pain a little longer. And in the spring, it's going to be fucking nuts. You just have to endure a little bit longer, right? And
our Q4 is,
I'd say, one of the strongest mental frames.
And it really that's all we're doing too. We're just prepping and everything. But as prep time, you're also thinking like, okay, how much money are you shelling out? How much money is actually coming in? What is the plan for next year? How do I make sure, we're doing the same shit. But in that, it's the mindset of most people have that I can't afford, so I'm going to start cutting. And I think I cannot afford to lose Aaron, because if I lose him now, I've done between $1.5 to $2 million for the past 3 years. Guess what I'll do next year? The exact same thing. If I have Aaron on board, I have a possibility to skyrocket past that 2 million mark. Without Aaron, I don't. And it's not Aaron without a sales guy. I don't. Why? Because we've been here for 3 years. We can only sell so much. I can only handle so much. Abraham can only, like, there is a capacity. You and I both know that. So the thing is, you got to open up that bottleneck. What's the next spot? I need another salesperson. So there's that whole thing of like, do you take the risk or do you send it? And it's hard, but
I'm in a complete full send it.
Oh, I know. And me too, dude. And it's hard.
After this, I'm going to show you some numbers, and I'm going to tell you,
dude, there's some full sends right now. And that's what I'm saying. Is like right now, and you know why?
Because what else are you going to do? Are you going to stay doing it?
And that's why.
Are you going to stay doing this for another 10 more years? Fuck no, I'm not. I'm either going to risk it for the biscuit, and I'm going to win,
or you're going to suffer for the next 10 years,
or I'm going to get out. I either want to be done with it, or I want some relief.
Yeah, right.
And I want to be. You know what I love about what you've said. I think it's on the back of your computer. Creative opportunities. I love that. I want to provide, protect, create. I love that,
dude. So the shift. There's a shift happening in my company right now, and I don't really know what it is, but everybody feels it. Like, that is really weird, but it's great. It's weird. And I forgot that was on the back of my monitor, Braedon. And when I pulled my desk out and I saw that,
I love that you sent me that picture.
I was like, shit. That's why my company's been stuck.
And you're going to see that every time you walk in.
And that's why it bothered me, because I put that there because I would see it every time I came in to see my desk. And when we moved from the shop office up at my parents' house to the actual shop in Jinx, I hid my monitor. I stared at a wall and I never saw it. And I have all kinds of other random shit all over my walls, but I forgot that that's who I was. And it's crazy as it sounds. Like, I went home and I told my mom, I was like, damn, I forgot that's who I am. Like, it's up to you to take advantage of those opportunities, but I'll create them for you. Like, that's it. And not just you, I will create them for everyone. Tell me you want something bad enough and tell me a realistic idea of how we're gonna, and I'll make sure it happens. Like, why? Because dreams are everything. Opportunities are everything. And now, for the past 3 years, I feel like my business has kind of been coasting. Like, I don't know, something about it hasn't really been doing what I wanted it to do.
It's been fine.
It's been fine. Yeah, fine. Not
what
great.
You want is fine?
Fuck no. Anyways, it's been mediocre. And I hate mediocre. I hate that word. And it has been. And when I pulled my desk out and I saw that, I said, ow. Guess we're back in business, baby. That's literally how I felt. Like, there we go. Because either you're going hard and you're going to figure it out, or you're going to work the 10 years anyways, or you're going to get out. Like, something has to give. So why not go ham before it gives? Like, I had a Mustang before. I turboed it. I wasn't going to turbo it, but I turboed it because I started
V8?
knocking. Yeah. It started knocking, so I turboed it just to go ahead and blow it up. It's the same thing we're doing right now. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's hit this next one. CJ, you still good?
Starbucks' new CEO is under fire for having a 1,000-mile super commute using the corporate jet. Brian Niccol, who was the CEO of Chipotle, can earn up to 8...
Which, real quick, me and his daily routine is nearly the same.
I don't really have a daily.
Crazy.
I'm sure I do.
$0.8 million per year. And his new job offer states that rather than relocating from Newport Beach in California to the Starbucks headquarters in Seattle, he's eligible to use the company's aircraft. Their hybrid work policy means employees have to be in 3 days a week, by the way. This is getting a lot of backlash.
Which is the same policy that I have. We do two. We can do 2 hybrid days a year. Well, we're hybrid, so 3 days in, 2 days are optional.
With people accusing Starbucks of greenwashing because the company publicly advertises striving for a sustainable future and has brought in green initiatives like paper straws, whilst allowing the CEO to super commute. Now, Brian is getting a small remote office in Newport Beach, and Starbucks hasn't yet confirmed whether normal office rules apply to him. But what do you make of super commuting? Starbucks' new CEO...
So, I saved this one because I was thinking about how decisions are made and how that's picked up by people that you don't even know. You know, you paint this picture and you go, hey, we're going to bring out this new initiative and we're going to be green and look at us and yeah, we're going to abide by this, whatever. And look how we're changing the straws and the napkins and the codes and whatever else. But then on the backside, it's like, yeah, well, I'm over here, you know, riding my jet. And stuff.
Can I put a perspective?
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't really have an opinion on either way, whether he should fly the jet or not. I don't care. But
I don't have a jet. I don't have an opinion.
Is that the perspective?
Yeah, I think so.
You don't? Okay.
What is marketing? If a circus is coming to town and you put up a sign, that's advertising. If you put the sign on the back of an elephant and walk it into town, that's promotion. And if the elephant walks through the mayor's flower bed and the local newspaper writes a story about it, that's publicity. And of course, if you get the mayor to laugh about it, that's public relations. But if you tell them about the various entertainment booths you'll have, the fun they're going to have, answer the questions, that's sales. And if you planned the entire thing, that's marketing. Now, let me ask you, what is marketing? If a circus...
I like that. Because I feel like I'm learning that. Obviously, this is your industry, but I'm learning it more and more just because, well, this past year, you know, I've done some changes in my business when it comes to the marketing aspect of things. And
well, and just be shoot straight, you've taken some of that stuff in house.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's
taking it off my team's plate and you brought it in house.
I'm changing some stuff, and that is really coming to fruition of marketing is a whole nother business. I mean, it's a whole nother business on to your business. And again, who, not how. We'll go right back to that book, right? If you're in a position where you can't do it yourself or so, hire somebody. Like, do it, because how is hard. It's a whole nother business. It's just like bookkeeping, right? We hire a professional bookkeeper because why? Because there's shit you don't understand. Good luck. But if you try to understand it, your business is going to suffer. The thing that's making you money is going to suffer if you try to understand bookkeeping, marketing, all those things. So you find people that can help you. Now, obviously, it's dependent on the business and so on and so forth. But man, I think that's a good one. I mean, that's 100%. It's there. All of it.
Beware the man in the t-shirt not the man in the suit. So before I met Mark, I mean, the guy was worth at the time 3-4 billion. He's worth what, 6 billion now? I thought he would come in and, better dressed. He came in wearing a t-shirt, jeans. So I'm sitting down with Mark one day and I say, Mark, with all due respect, why do you dress like a slob? Mark looks at me and he says, Robert, because I can. I didn't quite get it at the time, but over the years, I've realized Mark is never the one selling. Every room he goes into, people are selling him. Here's what I've learned over 16 years. You walk into a room and there's 20 people sitting there and 20 of them wearing a suit and tie, and there's one person in the back of the room wearing a t-shirt, that's the one with the power. Because that person worked their ass off to get to a position to wear whatever they
want.
Okay. I actually have a theory.
So do you have to
one.
fake it till you make it sort of thing? Like, do you have to dress a certain way before you're allowed to wear t-shirts?
Yes. Listen,
And does that matter? Like, what happens if you just start wearing t-shirts now and you're not making?
I'll tell you what happens. I'll tell you exactly what happens because I've done it. And I think, oh man, it's so hard. I guess that's where these reaction videos come into play, right? Like, these guys are millionaires, billionaires. It's different for them. I had this mentality when I first started this business that everybody wants to be the guy in the suit until they find out that the guy in the suit works for the guy in the sweatpants. That's literally that. I thought since day one, that's always been my theory. Now, as a business owner, 7 years in, I've realized that the guy who's wearing the sweatpants is tired of wearing the fucking suit. He's been there. He's worn the suit. He's done all this other BS. He's got the haircuts, fixed his hair every morning, gone for the run, made sure he wore his badge, made sure his logo's on, make sure his truck was clean, make sure all this BS for years. And in the process, made sure he was undeniably the best one at that task.
Like with the video we just watched a little bit ago.
Exactly.
If you can figure out how to make the best.
Plain and simple. Because right now, I told you, I'm trying to be number one when it comes to this. I'm not that person right now, but there's a reason I wear not just regular old shirt. No, I make sure there's a little logo there because the shirt's a little bit more comfortable. And people see that logo and they're like, oh, it means something. My next ones are going to have the Tulsa flag on it. I'm pretty excited. But nice shirts.
I got some logo on it.
With college shirt. Like it portrays a different person. Why? Because there's 100,000s of landscapers out there that will show up in jeans, boots, and a regular old dirty shirt. They're great. They're fantastic. But they're probably not going to answer the phone when I recall because they're busy working. Yep. That's where providing
the professionalism, you're right. Business
you have
etiquette.
To be a certain. Now, here's a different thing where I'm going to pose the thing. Yes, but you also know why Mark can do that because he's got all these other people dressed in suits for him, right? So that's where you and I are in the process, right? We're building all these professional people to build our roles, to do these things for us, to get those sales because at that point. Bro, there's so many people wearing a suit for me that I can wear sweatpants. Everybody knows who I am. I don't have to be out there. But now you can't do that right off the bat. Nobody's going to believe you. Like if I showed up in sweatpants and nothing to go do like an awesome $80,000 landscape, they're going to laugh at me and sell it to the next guy. It's just the truth.
I've got two. Ready?
Let's do it.
But decisiveness, moving forward quickly on decisions as quickly as you responsibly can is how you increase velocity. Most of what slows things down is taking too long to make decisions at all skill levels. So it has to be part of the culture to get high velocity. Amazon has 1.5 million people and the company is still fast. We're still decisive. We're still quick. And that's because the culture supports that. But decisiveness.
So I'm actually working towards that. And another quote that I heard is, money loves speed. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with being able to let people make decisions. Hey, here's the hierarchy of it. And in order because if I'm the only one making decisions, I can only make so many decisions throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month.
There's only so much mental computer power.
There's so much computer.
Even though your wife swears you have like AI.
And what Jeff Bezos said too in another clip, he was like, I'm paid to make only a handful of decisions a year. That is it. Because those, let's say 5, are the most crucial decisions of the entire company. Outside of that, somebody else may be hired to make 10 decisions. next to them. Somebody else will be hired to make 20 decisions. Someone else below them will be like whatever it is, right? So it doesn't have to exponentially go that direction.
Right.
But you get what I'm saying. So the decisions are made by whoever else, and it ultimately kind of funnels down to, well, why is Jeff Bezos paid what he's getting paid? He doesn't work the hours. It's not about the hours.
No, it's not about that. It's about the value provided.
The value that provided to the company. Because he has went through the experiences that he has. If he makes a decision, it is because of the experiences that he's had over the decades, right?
And
they're crucial to the success of the future or the changes.
Yeah, right. What would you say? And just for reference to his, because we have no idea what these questions are, right? But what would you say is like the most important question that you could deal with right now in your business?
The most important question?
Yeah.
Should we do this? I don't know. Like, hey, what do you think about this project? Or should we make this change? Or should I? What do you think about this client?
And the only reason I'm asking you this is because putting relevance to to type of questions he has. I'm sure he's asking like mergers. Like, do we merge with so on? Do we, this shipper?
Well, they have their own pharmacy line.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, should we make our own pharmacy line?
Right.
His job is to be educated in industries and a high level view of seeing how the industries are shifting over a 10-year period.
I don't think so.
It could be.
I think his job is to hire somebody that knows that.
I don't know. I'd want to know what his job is. What does he do?
All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
If you're delegating well, then it's actually really hard work. So it's the opposite of being lazy. And it's true, some people will think leaders don't do anything. They're just giving out instructions and kicking back. But what you know as a leader is delegating well is actually really hard. And when you do it well, people actually love you as a leader because they feel empowered and they feel like they have meaning in their work. So it's all about doing the 3 levels of delegation versus just throwing work at people and then wondering what you're doing. If you're delegating.
So now this is becoming interesting for me. So as I'm moving into a little bit more of a CEO role, let's say, right? I will now have a chief of staff going into January, actually starting in November. And I will have somebody to replace my chief of staff. And then I will also shift somebody else in the business too. And as we're creating this, I've also got 2 new account managers that will also do some APA hour stuff or whatever. And then we have a web specialist. We have a BDM. Well, a BDM's role, I'm learning that he can apply in a couple different spaces, but I want to be able to empower them to be able to make those decisions. So we're trying to work on a decision tree. If then that. Don't bring it to me if this, right? Only if it's of this tier, this scale, this caliber. Outside of that, I do not care. You can make the decision. You have to make it. If you are not capable of making that decision, you're in the wrong seat. You'll be reassigned to another seat, and I will find somebody else who is capable of making that decision. So, because I need to be able to make higher level decisions and let you make the certain ones that be able to, so we can move. We need to be able to move faster.
You're building autonomy without having to build essentially decision making.
And I'm trying to teach them how to delegate because
right.
They don't need to manage per se. I'm not babysit. I don't need you as a babysitter. I need you to be able to make sure those things are executed on. And how can you instill power into your team? Like with Leslie and Madison, I'm like, guess what? I hired you to manage my marketing, right? That's your job. You're a marketing manager.
Well, then
and I go, hey, I need this new service introduced. And you go, okay, what's your budget? I have $2,500 a month I can spend. Maybe max, maybe less. They go, okay, so what if we did social media ad this and we had a production this and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I like that idea. Okay, well, guess what? You don't have to do that all yourself. I've just about built a marketing department to where I've told Madison and Leslie, I'm like, you guys can take this idea that a business owner has and put it into execution. There's nothing that we can't do. If you want to do a billboard in Times Square, I can call somebody. It's on my phone. I can say, I need a billboard in Times Square. Find me a spot. Here's my budget. I'll have a billboard in Times Square. If we need to do an event in California, I've got ways to be able to do that. If we need to custom fabricate and rebuild a trailer, I've got contacts to be able to do that. If you want to make a post on Facebook and need a Facebook page, I can do that too, right? You guys have to think about the not how am I going to get this done, but who can I get to get this done for me? That's how you guys need to think. Mm-hmm. You guys have some of the who's already. You don't have to know all the answers. You're thinking logistically and not how am I going to do this? And sitting there rocking and thinking, no, okay, who?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Hey, John, you said that you did X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. Is that true? Yeah. Okay. Hey, I have this client that wants to do something. Is that something you can do? What do you charge? Oh, I charge $3,000. Okay. 30% markup to the client. That's a fair rate. 30%. That's not bad. Sometimes people are $200-300.
I do 20%.
Sure. Well, in my
it's space, different contractor.
In my space, it's somewhere between 15 to 50.
Yeah, for us, it's like 15 to 25.
Yeah.
So they get different industries, different spaces.
And it's also kind of depending on the service. Sometimes we'll do 15.
And it also depends on the price you're getting, because if the price you're getting is super low, bro, you're not going to let that money go.
No, that's going to be 50%.
Bro, yeah. I'm the same way. Like, I'm not just, yeah.
So
as long as you provide good quality,
I've told them, and I kind of give this range. And sometimes there's a rule, sometimes there's whatever to the rule. So I'm like, if it's like this, it's okay to go 50 because of this is how it works. But I'm like, don't price gouge because that's unethical. I don't like that.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're building relationships.
You're building relationships. And if you really need to, go 15%. That's fine. And also, if you're doing radio, 15% is fair because that's the discount that we get from our vendors, from our partners. You just resell it at the same price that they would sell it directly to the client.
Right.
We make commission on the back end of it,
right? Not
on the front end. A lot of agencies, they will negotiate and they will get their vendors, their partners to go below 15%. And they go, not good enough. I need 30% discount or 20%. And then they go to their client and they not only mark it up an additional 15%, but they're making an additional 15 or 20% on the back end. So their margin's really 30 to 50. Mm-hmm. Which can be fine in a business standpoint, but I also ethically wonder,
and I love that you said that because I'm having that same conversation with Aaron, right? So same concept of like, hey, I don't need you to ask me if you can make these calls. Make the call. It's your profits on the line. It's your commission on the line, right? But in that same sense, I told him today, like, hey, I will not sell a job at 60% profit, at 50% profit. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, if we come and we finish a job, and mine are at a 60% profit, I will tell the customer, hey, I overbid you. I'm going to charge you less. He's like, why? You could just get a profit. Because it's unethical. Like, to me, it's unethical. Now, is it wrong? No. The customer already agreed to pay that amount. The customer already thought they were getting the value for that job. No, it's not unethical. If you want to, you go right ahead. But I'm in it to build relationships, not just get a commission and not just get a job. So whenever I go back to that customer and I tell you, hey, I overquoted you about 20%, your bill's $500 lower. Dude, they're going to tell everybody and their friends and their world and their dog. Like, everybody's going to know about you. And all of a sudden, you just made all this money because you were ethical, right? And it wasn't unethical.
Ethics matter.
It does. And a lot of that. And so, like, a lot of things that I tell people is like, I don't want the job. I don't want the job. I want the relationship. I talk about the guy who raved about Andy this week. He tried to get me to sell him $10,000 worth of work. I sold him $2,000. And I was like, no, call me back in a couple of years. Maybe we'll do that. Like, I'm not going to take your money right now, man. What is really the problem here? So and it's like, what is it? There's ethical. I could have sold him the job. I could have been working right now.
And that builds trust.
And that builds trust, right? Where that's on the back end.
Where you have their heart in mind.
Right. We have, not only that, I genuinely.
And as I'm training the team too, I'm like, don't just go in to try to do revenue.
Right.
Anything like no.
Well,
I need you to really kind of consult. And they're like, I don't have the answers. Don't have the answers. Right. All you need to have is a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And
it starts with, how are you doing?
Yep. What's working?
Going on?
What's not working?
What's not working?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you start there, they will ramble.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say like the whole, finance thing because, so like you said, money loves speed, right? And I couldn't agree more. Like that is 100% true.
And it's not made to be held.
No,
it's got to transfer
right.
quickly.
But also, I do believe that money knows when it's being mishandled.
Oh yeah, because it'll go to somebody that
money knows when you're not being when you're not being a good steward of it, right? So when you take someone's money, and this is everybody's debatable, whatever, but I feel whenever you take someone's money and you're not a good proper steward of their money runs away from you. So I think one of the best things you can do is just be ethical. hey, I'm making a 60% profit. Great. I don't need that. I pay my bills with 15. My guys can get this at 40%, because that's my number. At 40%, I'm happy. I might push a 45 on some jobs, but around a 40 to 45% profit, I'm happy. Anything over that, I feel dirty. I just feel dirty. I don't like it. That doesn't mean it's wrong, right? But everybody's got to figure out their ways what's right. I prefer to go after a relationship. Man, if I only make a 20% profit on you forever, and I get like $500,000 off you, I could care less. Give me your 20% profit. I'm happy. But now if I know you're a one-time job and I probably only get you that one time and I get a 50% profit, I'm still going to cut you a deal. But I also know like you're probably never going to call me back. But like you said, there's that play, right? And I think I'm doing the same thing like with Aaron, like trying to give him guidelines, right? Like, hey, if you want to go cheaper, but that's your commission on the line. If you want to go over, you go over, but that's your relationship on the line. Your job is to find that happy medium where everybody loves you. Your prices are fair. Your jobs are on point. You're ethical. You show up when you're supposed to. Like all these things. You're trying to find that happy medium, man, because you could go either way and you'll get jobs, you'll get whatever. But like that happy medium is where your reputation just carries yourself. It just carries you. And you and I both know how that is, man.
Oh, yeah.
That was good.
You ready to wrap up?
Let's do it. Oh, we need to do our question, though.
Okay, we'll do it quick.
Should we wrap it up quick?
Yep.
It's time to go.
So this is part of the Brews and Business podcast where we actually got these cards from the Diary of a CEO. And the whole point of these is to empower true human connection. And these are questions that Abel and I have no clue what they are.
Nope.
And they're new every single episode. And this is a thick deck of cards. Ready for this one?
Let's hear it.
What is your definition of success? That's so cheesy.
Definition of success.
So I'll quickly, I won't make this too complicated. We'll make this quick. I would say that if I were to say that the end, so we're not saying being successful, we're saying what is your definition of success? Success are, I'm providing protection, providing opportunity. I'm able to provide some flexibility and freedom for my own time to be able to spend it with my family, myself, be able to have a little bit of freedom, making sure that I'm not taking that at the expense of the people that I've provided for, right? So it's not that, great, you're making $7.25 an hour because that's the minimum wage and I'm over here flying a jet. You know what I mean? So I would say at the success point, I have been able to kind of divide it all out evenly. I'll leave it at that. I can elaborate.
I think my success, when I think about like the end, like I'm dead, I guess. Man, I honestly just think I want happy children. I want my kids to be happy. I want my wife to be happy. I think that's success. Like, period. I don't know if there's a financial number on that or anything. Like I said earlier to CJ, like I could care less if my kids turn out gay or anything. Like I just want them to be happy. Like I just want them to be happy. I genuinely just want to be happy. As I get older and I saw my dad work and all this stuff, like as I get older, I realize like, you know what? You can't take it with you when you die. Your kids may or may not fucking take care of it. And it may or may not do them good. Like as far as I just want my kids to be happy. I think that'll be success. Because if they're happy, then that means I did my part when they were young or whatever. I don't know. That's
fair.
That's simple enough.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick too, we have some exciting recordings coming up too. We have an entrepreneur we're going to interview. Tyler Trumbo is back from I Move PT, right?
Yes, sir.
Chad Lott is a great dude. Him and his family have been around in Tulsa for nearly the last 40 years.
Nice. Okay.
Really cool dude. Very, very smart. We'll learn about him. And then we have a remote podcast at Bourbon and Ash Cigar Lounge where the owner is an ex-police officer, retired police officer, and he opened a cigar lounge. And so that'd be cool. So we'll be recording with Smoke and Sounds podcast again.
That's right.
And then in December, this will be our last one to record, I believe, and there might be one more bonus in between then. But a news on Six Anchor. So we're still looking at trying to record with her.
That's right.
So, outside of that, your merch purchases, if you buy any of the merch, it goes to not only support this whole endeavor of being able to provide empowering insights and real human connections and stories and things like that to help you in your everyday life and business. And I hope that you guys are learning and receiving some value from some of the things that Abel and I are experiencing, and it's changed a lot over the last 2 years. Like, man, I bet you if you listened to our podcast 2 years ago,
I was just about to say that,
it'd be nuts.
Well, I mean, I just know Headspace, where we were 2 years ago, is completely different, right? And it's beautiful.
Same, but different.
Same.
Anyways, the coffee, our official coffee roaster of the Brews and Business podcast is Gregory Coffee Roasters. The guy is awesome. He was on a podcast a few episodes back. Yep. So if you missed that one, go back and listen to that one. Josh Mitchell. Yep. And then, so he's a widowed dad out of Owasso, Oklahoma. Really cool dude. Really passionate about the coffees and stuff like that. It's amazing. And if you order any of it, it is roasted the day before he ships it or before you pick it up.
Most likely at night. So like literally within
12
hours of you ordering it. Yeah. It's probably be ordered and shipped. It's pretty cool to hear that story.
Yeah, it's really nice. So we appreciate you guys joining in, listening, watching, learning. Hope that you've learned something too and that we're providing some value. If you have anything else you want us to discuss, anybody you want us to bring on the podcast, whatever, just let us know.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys.
Other than that, see you.